sentence. So I kind of
All right,
ignored.
leave it. If that's how I said it, leave it. It's fine. I get why David made a question mark because it doesn't totally make sense, but maybe I wasn't being very articulate. And
Well,
then
what did he do? He just put a question mark instead of the period I had. He added question marks.
oh, and I'm thinking he's putting a question mark because he's not understanding what that sentence meant.
No, he wanted me to put a question mark instead of the period.
Yeah, yeah, that's it. It wasn't a change of content. Yeah, context.
Okay. So then the only other thing I have is page 7 under discussion. The paragraph that starts with co-chairman Dibble asked Mr. Ingram. So go back up, page 5, 7.0 discussion. There we go, Tim, thank you. Co-chairman Dibble asked at the very bottom there of your screen, co-chairman Dibble asked Mr. Ingram if the project plans to go on to the county. So see where it's got the little underline there, a second line, not in their parameters, as well as it isn't in the town planning boards.
Right.
So as it. But to Dave's point, he says in his notes, this sentence is unclear. I don't recall the exact discussion point. I thought the sentence might read more clearly if you wrote, he said that they have been told by the Ulster County Planning Board that it is not within their parameters, comma, nor is it in the town planning boards. So I think that's what you're trying to say.
Yes.
And those were my only comments. Otherwise, beautifully done.
Anyone else? Comments?
Actually, Janelle, in that same sentence, could you just clarify and say, Mr. Ingram said that they've been told versus he said, because that's not clear whether he is me or John.
Mr. Ingram. Okay. Yep.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other comments pertaining to the minutes from October 5th? All right, well, if not, I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes as edited.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Sense? Okay. Thanks, Janelle.
You're welcome. So I just want to, because I'm not seeing names and faces, so I want to, we have all the board members in the meeting, right?
I see Tim, I see Nick, I see Heidi, Steve, I see Paul, and I see Mr. Cahill. Even though the Yankees are out, he's still here.
Such a good sport.
Thanks for asking, Janelle.
Yes, thank you.
We have 2 minutes before the first public hearing. Do any of the board members have anything, and or Janelle, something administratively, or Mr. Ingram, do you have something to share with us in the minute and a half that we have?
I didn't have anything administrative, but if we have a quick second to discuss Vector, I just wondered what came of that since we got that Ulster County Planning Board comment. Did he move forward? Did he get his building permit? Or is he still waiting on something from us?
Looks like he's building.
Oh, is he? I didn't even
Is Mr. Ingram
open my
on?
eyes.
Mr. Ingram would be the one to answer that question.
Yeah, I thought I saw him earlier, but he's no longer here, or I imagined it.
Yeah, I saw walls going up. I mean, I knew they were mistaken, but
I'm sure that he went right ahead and did this because he was very anxious.
Well, we gave him the conditional approval, so.
Yep.
They just had a comment about sidewalks, which I did think was interesting and probably not something we were going to require anyway, because given the nature of what he was looking to do was so minimal. But I did think it was interesting to think about in the future that they would like to see us request sidewalks on future site plans along the 28 corridor there.
Yeah, I don't, that's, I'll say uncharted territory, I think, for town of Olive in terms of how that would even work. I thought in general, when it's a state highway like that, it ends up being part of the state projects to do those sidewalks, but I don't know.
Yeah, I believe the state has quite the right of way through there too, so it be on state highway.
Yeah.
All right, well, I'll conclude that discussion point. Why don't we move forward? It's 7:10 on, what is it, Tuesday, November 9th. We'll open up a public hearing for 21/6 Way Back Acres. It's the Senecal Party, 87 Mountain Road in Shokan, New York. This is a 2-lot subdivision. So if one of the board members can confirm that you can hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you, Tim. So with that, is there anyone in the public who would like to speak to 21/6, the 2-lot subdivision? Any questions?
I would like to speak.
And your name, please, if you could state it for the record.
My name is Kylene Leiter.
Okay, hi, Ms. Leiter. Thank you for joining. And do we have anyone from either Mr. or Miss Senecal or someone representing the party on the line?
Yes. Jim is here.
Okay, Jim, great. Go ahead, Ms. Leiter. What question do you have?
I don't have a question. I would just like to state from last meeting, Jimmy stated that my father had that I had stopped. I was the person who was originally going to buy the property from Jimmy and build on it. So I'm the one whose name is on a lot of the paperwork that's been handed in regarding the health department and the septic approval through Rex. So I just wanted to clarify that I did not stop working on this project because of the fact that my dad passed away. I stopped working on this project in 2016. My dad passed in 2019. The reason that I stopped working on this project is because of the DEC. I had to fill out about a 40-page application in order to cross the stream to build on what was going to be the back lot. They were very specific in regards to the placement of where I would put the bridge or the culvert. They were also very specific in regards to the materials that I would use when it came to constructing the bridge, or what I would have to use in regards to the culvert, like the shape of the culvert and the size of the culvert. They were specific in regards to how high the bridge had to be, like off of the distance between the water and the bridge. There was a lot in regards to the construction of the bridge to ensure that it wasn't going to disturb the flow of the water or the ecosystem. They also were talking about the fact of the maintenance of the bridge and the driveway, and there were certain materials and stuff that I wasn't going to be able to use on my driveway, such as like salts in the winter. So I ended up talking to my insurance company about this, and basically my insurance company told me it was just going to be such a liability to, it was a lot. So based on the cost that this bridge was going to cost me, or the culvert, and needing to, always make sure that I was in compliance with what DEC wanted for the driveway maintenance and everything, and the cost of the insurance, is why I backed out of the project. It had nothing to do with my father passing. He passed 3 years later, and I had already purchased and built my own house. So, and then also my father did not write up a maintenance agreement. He stopped working on it because I stopped in regards to building on the property.
Ms. Leiter, thank you for your comments and the insight. It's appreciated.
You're welcome.
You're welcome. Is there anyone else in the public who has a comment or a question regarding this 2-lot subdivision? And as you can see by the screen that is being shared, right, this will be a flag lot. So lot 2 will be a flag, if you will, off of lot 1. And on the left side of your screen will be a shared driveway for a component. And then, as Ms. Leiter just pointed out, As Tim scrolls to the top, you'll see where that stream exists, and there needs to be some type of a remedy provided to cross that, environmentally safe and safe and efficiently. So any other questions or comments? Okay. Well, with that, then I'll make a motion, if there's no comments or questions, that we suspend the open comment period of the public hearing for 21(6). Can I get a second?
Nick will second.
Thank you, Nick. And actually, Nick, I believe my notes, you had some questions or inquiries regarding this. I don't want to mean to put you on the spot, but some things that we wanted to see on here. Can we start there?
Yeah. I wanted to see a defined easement for the driveways and the utilities.
Yeah, I think we talked about a reciprocal easement, yes?
Yeah. I know in note 2, they just say granting and accepting from and 2 lots 1 and 2 right away over the existing shell driveway. Shown here on, the maintenance agreement is being prepared and will be supplied upon completion. That's kind of like a general easement, I mean, it covers it, but usually,
Could I-
go ahead.
Excuse me, could I speak to that fact?
Of course, Jim, yes.
I left Janelle with 12 new maps, and in order to alleviate the problem with the well of the easement there, I dropped the road from a 50-foot wide road to a 25-foot wide road. Now the well belongs to lot 1. It would be completely on their property.
Hey, Jim, just on the technical side, are you dialed in on a cell phone as well as using a PC of some sort?
Yes.
If you could mute your phone, because your computer also has a microphone and it's giving us feedback.
Okay, I'll have her mute. How do I mute this? Mute the
You
phone.
you could
Tim,
probably mute either one.
Tim, you should have the more recent map if that's
this
not
isn't
the
the
one
most
that's
recent?
being shown.
Okay, thank you, Janelle.
I think that was the right one.
It said updated. Let's see.
Well, if it said updated, then that's the one, and that should show 25 instead of 50 foot.
Yeah, the map I have certainly is 25.
I tell you what, this guy is so organized, we should put him on the payroll.
Yeah, this is the updated.
You had 10 things that I should have answered, and I can go through them. I did write you a list. And
Oh, that's fabulous.
and also,
Yeah. So Jim, you can go through that checklist and your audio is perfect now. So thank you for the adjustment.
I think the one comment though was regarding the use of the driveway. And I think there is a note on the map that the existing driveway is going to be a right of way, but it isn't noted in the actual area on the driveway, right?
And we also talked about utilities, Steve, to your point, yes?
Yeah, well, the utilities are shown. He shows the underground electric or yeah,
I showed you.
UE. You'll see the lines with UE on them, which I presume is underground electric running up the right of way or up the 25-foot flag.
Yeah.
Oh,
Right.
yeah, okay, yeah.
And he hasn't
So then
noticed
is-
it proposed.
So maybe it's just a teachable moment for me. So would the easement on the driveway for egress and ingress, would that also apply to utilities buried under it? That's my question.
Yeah, well, the utilities aren't under the driveway portion that would be shared. The utilities are actually part of the running on the flag lot.
Mhm.
So they're on the new lot
Oh.
property.
Well, and
Thanks.
to Nick's point, this is why it's good to have bounds around the easement area. So you see everything that it's included. And that was my note. On note 2, it does not say, a right of way, but it should say ingress, egress, and utilities, because not always can you assume that utilities are implied for access
Well,
to them.
but the utilities don't need the right of way, right? The utilities are on lot 1 utilities run across lot 1 and lot 2 utilities run across lot 2.
Oh,
Yeah, so
okay,
they're
that's
separate.
true, that's
They're
true.
all contained within their lots.
Yeah, they're
That's true,
separate
they
and
don't
distinct.
cross.
There
Yeah.
is a note for that on the bottom left of the map. There is a note for that.
So why don't we go through, Mr. Senical, why don't we go through those 10 points that you pulled from the last session?
The 10 points are show the setbacks for the new home. Area of 3 acres, 0.38 acres. The new proposed house is in the back with the setbacks on it. I also had Mr. Keefe, if you look, run dotted lines for where the town setbacks would be. So no matter where I put it in that 3 acres, that's where it would be. I would be within those lines, side yard, rear yard, front yard.
The only other thing besides to Nick's point, which I picked up on the same thing as far as the easement location, although I know it says, along the existing driveway, which is acceptable but not preferable in my opinion. The only other thing is on our checklist, to be fair to everyone else, we require the houses within 200 feet to be shown on the map, and they did provide a separate, a separate little map that shows that, but our checklist, unless we waive it, our checklist does say that those should be on the subdivision map submitted.
For my benefit there, I can't just walk on my neighbor's property and decide that I feel like measuring their house and their lots and their side buildings. I really can't do that, So that's why I provided you with the small paper on the side. In order for me, I would have to have a surveyor go in and survey everybody's lot around me to prove how far their house is off of my property.
Well, and it's an excellent point, and I actually don't disagree with you, but our checklist does state it. So I'm just opening it up for conversation because, we have made sure that it's required on other maps, and for consistency's sake, I just want to make sure it's addressed. I don't disagree with you, Mr. Senical. I agree that it's a tricky thing to sometimes, prepare that accurately, especially since you are not surveying on somebody else's property. But there are ways in which it can be mapped similarly to the way you've provided on a separate sheet here. Does anybody have any concern about that, or do we just skip it?
I think I would favor waiving that requirement.
Oh, Steve, you're muted.
I was just saying, I think we can vote to waive it if we decide that's the right thing to do.
Yeah, I don't know what we gain by requiring it, and we have identified all the adjoining landowners, and I don't know what we gain by doing it, so I would say we waive it.
I don't think the county is interested in having approximate locations on maps filed with the county.
No.
I agree completely. I think that it shouldn't be on the checklist anyway, but we've just made such a stink about it in other cases that I just wanted to make sure for everyone's sake that we were at least addressing it.
I'll make a motion that we waive the requirement for the neighboring buildings to be shown on the map.
And I'll second that.
Okay, good.
Second point was contours for the front lot. I had Mr. Keefe show contours from one side of the property to the other. It's 5.5 feet of drop. So it's basically one line and a half of contour.
Before we move on, do we want to just take a quick vote on the motion?
Thanks, Steve. Yep.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Let the record show no one was opposed.
Okay.
Go ahead, Mr. Senical. Thank you for pausing.
No problem. You wanted me to show contours for the front lot. And like I said, there's 5.5 feet of drop from one side of the property to the other, from right side to left side as you look at it. So that would leave one contour line basically.
Yep, that's fine.
The proposed underground utilities you already spoke to. The proposed maintenance agreement for both lots. I spoke to Mike Iappozi, my attorney there, and I cannot draw up a maintenance agreement until I have a subdivision where I can say that you're happy with the acreage on both lots and it works for you. Then I can have Mr. Keefe come up with a outbound description. Then he can write a maintenance agreement for both lots.
So maybe we make that as a condition of approval then?
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Be hard for me to write a maintenance agreement if I have to change the map again, then they'd have to change the maintenance agreement again. We said he's willing to do it right away. Not a problem.
I guess I'm gonna jump in here and ask from the planning board standpoint. I mean, we haven't gotten into managing maintenance agreements and that kind of stuff before, so.
Yeah, I think the only time, Steve, to your point, the only time it's come into scope is when we've evaluated an open development, correct?
Yeah,
And building that road to town specs, which typically requires the road maintenance agreement so that it's amicable across all tenants, if you will, right?
yep.
Bless you.
I
And then
do
we looked at the railroad.
Oh,
Sorry.
I do,
No,
do
go
think it is important to, or they should have shown the actual easement for the driveways.
Yeah, that's
You know, I mean,
rather than just the note you're saying, right, Nick?
yeah, and he just said that they're gonna do it anyway. I mean, why not just put it on there? I understand that you might have to change the map, but I mean, that happens.
I tend to agree with you, Nick. I like when the map reflects illustratively the easement as well.
Yeah,
That's-
I mean, especially the note implies if the driveway moves, that the easement moves with the driveway, I think. And I'm not sure how that plays out.
And speaking of the road maintenance agreement, I think that in regards to note 2 there at the bottom right, I think that if you just had the surveyor change the language to say maintenance agreement is to be filed concurrently with the Ulster County Clerk. I mean, maintenance agreements are usually filed. Then that would signal to somebody that one exists and, you will be filing it. And I think that, I understand.
Mike Iappozi less than a week ago, because I do have a binder on the house.
Mhm.
He's willing to draw up the maintenance agreement. He's waiting to see the outcome of this meeting if he's not watching it right now.
Right. I don't necessarily think we need to see the maintenance agreement so long as we know one is going to be filed in the clerk's office. This note says
Right.
one will be supplied, but that's a little ambiguous. But if it sort of guarantees that one is being filed concurrently, that I think is a little bit more definitive. And then we'll all know that is being addressed properly.
Absolutely. The proposed buyer of the property there wouldn't move forward anyways without a maintenance agreement. His attorney wouldn't allow it to start with. I mean, it's foolish for him to. The only other option he'd have is put another 25-foot road next to a 25-foot road. So that is the purpose of it. So like I said, that's like I said, as soon as we're done with this meeting, if he can move on with it, he gladly will.
Yeah, I think all Heidi's getting at is that if you just change that language, we don't need to see, and in fact, we don't review road maintenance agreements, right? So if you just change that language slightly in the note, then we'll be happy and you won't need to come back to us with that.
Okay, what would you like it to say?
Something to the effect, and the surveyor will put it in his own words, but road maintenance agreement to be filed concurrently.
Okay.
In the Ulster County, the office of the Ulster County Clerk.
Okay, not a problem.
So far it would be that, and to actually show the right of way or for the driveway on the map versus just noting it in the note.
And a meet and bounds.
That would be in the outbound description, I believe, both lots.
That's,
It should be in the deed, but it should be represented on the map as well.
I can do that. Do I need to provide 12 more copies of that?
Well, I think what we should do, pardon my interruption, administratively, we're bumping up against our next public hearing at 7:30. Since your public hearing has been suspended, the open comment period anyway, and we're going through some of the nuts and bolts of your approval, what I would say, board, if you're in agreement, is we suspend this discussion at this point. I know we're still going through the checklist of follow-up items from the last session, and then we move on to the next public hearing for Kenley. and then we can come back to Wayback Acres. Does that make sense, Steve?
I guess it comes down to how long it's gonna take to wrap this up, but yeah, we
Yeah.
can do that.
Yeah, I think, Mr. Sonical, you're on item number 2 or 3 out of 10, correct?
We're down through 7 right now. The others are envelopes for the neighbors, show the existing well, which is on there, underground electric, which you already covered, environmental assessment form, which was done, and Rex Sanford's approval for septic. That's the whole list.
Do we have a copy? Do we have a copy of that?
Rex and Janelle worked that
No.
out.
No, we don't have a copy of an approval. The only thing that we have is a copy of the change of name that went into the Board of Health.
Yeah,
The
what's
permit application.
interesting though, I thought that approval expired after a couple years and this
It
was
does.
This is
apparently
for-
back from, was this not back from 2016 that it was
Correct.
done prior? So changing a name on something that's expired is not gonna help much.
That
Oh,
was-
no, there was a mechanism to do that, and he went through the process. We just didn't see the final result as of the last meeting, the way I remember it.
Yes, it's Rex.
This is it. Yeah, this is the application on file that Tim just had on the screen.
Okay, so,
And I think this approval is forthcoming. If you read to the bottom of that, this is not a permit to construct. But there's a fee he's supposed to file, and then I assume he was gonna get a permit. Is that what happened, Jim?
Yes, it is. He's waiting. He spoke to the city themselves.
Okay,
Excuse me, the county. And he's
Yeah.
waiting for the city and the county to provide him with the piece of paper that he can. provide.
okay, so once we have a hard copy of that, then we can finalize the subdivision.
Exactly.
Yep.
So then at this period, so, go ahead, Steve, I'm sorry.
I was gonna say, since we're waiting for that approval, we just want to table this then until next meeting. And hopefully we'll have the approval and can finish it up.
It was
Yeah,
4
that's
to
what I was just gonna say, yes.
4 to 6 weeks to get from the last meeting, so could be any day now.
Okay, so Janelle, why don't we position Mr. Senical on the Tuesday, December 7th session? Put that, unless there's other public hearings, but we'll put him on the first agenda item after any public hearings. And we'll move forward with the resolution, the open items, the conditional resolution, I should say. And then the seeker, part 2.
So with regard to the minor changes you've asked for the map, is it okay if he just has it done and a PDF of the changes be made without having to have hard copies for everybody?
That's
Or does
fine with me.
Yeah, it's
I mean,
it's
ultimately-
okay with me. Well, we will obviously need the updated maps for signing when we get to that point.
Correct.
Yeah, but I think in terms of a working paper, digital is fine.
Is John Ingram here? Did he come back on or is he gone? I just don't know if we asked him if this letter from Brian Drum stating that the Article 15 street disturbance permit is not required for construction of this bridge as proposed, if that's enough for him. I just want to make sure we're doing our due diligence on that. But it doesn't look like
I
he's
spoke to
here.
both of them myself at length on a Wednesday,
Okay,
John and Dominic. And yes, it is. Part of the problem, Kylene, I knew her as Kylene Thomas. Part of the problem that they had with the bridge is how they applied for it. They applied to dig at the stream bank in the bed. I applied to dig 6 foot back and not disturb the stream bed at all, or the banks. They had a 20-foot bridge proposed. I have a 30-foot bridge proposed. And that's why Brian Drum doesn't require a permit for it.
So you're cascading right over the entire
Yeah,
environmental
yeah.
safe, sensitive area versus, I got you. That makes sense. Yep.
It's
Okay.
and,
And if I recall correctly, part of that was that you're able to get to the backside of that bridge without crossing the stream, right?
yes.
okay.
Good question, Heidi.
Satisfied.
Thank you. Good point.
Could I ask, I'm not positive how everything goes together. How long before final subdivision approval would be say in the cards.
I'm sorry, Mr. Senegal, can you repeat that? There was background noise. I couldn't hear you.
I'm trying to put together for an attorney and for real estate, how far a possible conclusion to everything would be. Would there be any type of idea at this point?
Yeah, I think so. I think based upon a successful conclusion, if you're able to provide the necessary edits that we've just discussed.
Yeah.
And barring any changes, I would see that we would go through the checklist, the part 2 seeker with a negative declaration, I would think, based on what we're seeing here. And then a resolution with the conditions we've discussed, which is the easement, the easement, the health department, and the, what was the third one here? The road maintenance agreement. Yeah, you could probably close this out on the 7th and give us hard copies. We get them signed off. I don't think that's out of bounds. Steve, do you agree with that? Loosely?
Yeah, loosely, I just add the caveat that if something else comes up, it could potentially get put off.
Right,
So-
and Mr.
so-
Yes, thank you, Stephen. And Mr. Senegal, to that point, we've suspended your public hearing, meaning that we can open it up again since it'll be a public meeting. We're really obligated to, and then ask if there's any comments, which to Steve's point could generate an additional, examination of something.
Okay.
Okay, well, Mr. Senecal, thank you very much. Have a good evening.
Thank you, you too.
So next up, apologies to the Kenley party for the delay. If you're already in attendance, you know what we're going through. So we have a second public hearing this evening. A site plan site plan 5-21, Donald Kenley at 5097 Route 213 in Olive Bridge. This is for an art studio and gallery of an existing structure. I believe it was formerly known as Tongor Store, which has had different iterations of commercial activity. So Mr. Kenley or someone representing Mr. Kenley, are you in attendance? I'm sorry, there was some background noise. Is there someone in attendance representing Mr. Kenley, or is Mr. Kenley here?
Oh, I think he's muted. Dawn, I think you're muted.
I was gonna say, I saw him.
I don't see him. I'll unmute him if I can see him.
Yeah, all I get is asked to unmute.
Yeah, that'll do it, because then it should prompt them and they click it.
Let's try that. Is that better?
Yes.
Yes.
Perfect. Nice job.
Well, no, somebody put it on the screen for me. I'm not that smart.
Well, that was our friend, Mr. Berger. So good job, Nick.
Thank you.
Okay, well, thanks for joining us, Mr. Kenley. And again, apologies and appreciative of your patience. So I'll make a motion that we open up the public hearing and the open comment period for SP 5-21 Donald Kenley, which is a site plan for an art studio and gallery. Are there any questions from the public that you have of either the board or Mr. Kenley?
I guess, Dave, I'd like to ask Mr. Kenley, since,
Yeah,
what's that?
I was gonna say, Mr. Kenley, we apologize for the mix up on October 5th. We
Yeah,
understand you were in person at the town hall. And, we did advance your application in your absence to try and make up for that. And Stephen, I'm sure you have questions. So go ahead.
I was just going to ask him to briefly summarize what his intent is, so that, we all kind of have an idea on the planning board, but I'm not sure that would apply to everybody on the call, so. If you
Well,
could
this
just
is,
summarize that briefly, it'd be great.
This has to do with a piece of that has been unused for a period of time because of COVID and other financial constraints. And it's a passion of mine. It's a hobby, and we're trying to make it commercial in some respects. It's it would be open to local artists and community, as well as students from the high school, local area. We intend on a studio for sculpting and things of that nature.
And how many apartments are associated with this on the second floor?
There are 2 apartments.
Okay, thank you. And thank you, Mr. Senegal, for that summary. Also, the narrative you provided is very helpful regarding the hours of operation and so on. That was, very straightforward, so thank you.
So if I may, Heidi, Mr. Kenley, just in terms of students to show their work, so are you looking to host classes there and or for the community or for students, high school students or elementary?
Yeah,
Or is it
yes.
strictly
Yes, there is a need for normally it's every that goes to a gallery, it's for painting. So this is something that is needed in teaching and their work, myself included.
Can anybody jump in with a question?
Of course, if you just state your name for the record and please.
Hi, this is Paul Friedman, and I had a couple questions. I didn't quite understand, is the gallery opened in terms of who can exhibit in there to only students and youngsters, or also to many of the artisans that live in the area? And is it limited to any particular medium?
No, it is not.
And to the first part of my question is to the who can exhibit in it?
Not only students, which would be on an occasional basis, because artists of not only sculpting artists, but painters, glass work, you name it. We'd be more than glad to show their work.
Who will decide whose work is appropriate or not to be shown in the gallery?
I have a fellow who's got many, many years of experience in the art field, and we'll collaborate on that, no doubt.
And do we get to know who that gentleman is?
It's not a gentleman.
Oh, or who that woman is? I'm sorry.
Her name is Gulner Babarika,
And what type of work does she do?
sculpting. Figurative sculpting.
Right? And the classes, who will be teaching those classes?
She will occasionally, and we're open to anybody with experience.
And how will income be generated to the gallery?
You get a percentage of, if you're showing, you sell a piece of artwork, you get a percentage for selling it.
Do you know at this point what that percentage would be?
If I may, pardon me, Mr. Kenley, you don't have to answer that question. So respectfully, if you could leave your
You're
questions
right.
within
You're right.
the scope of planning and development and zoning, certainly the commercial attributes of how Mr. Kenley is going to operate his business are just not inappropriate for this venue.
Okay, sorry about that.
No worries.
Is, Mr. Kenley, is the intent that all the, I'll say the sculpting, the artistry be performed indoors, or you intend to make
Indoors,
use of
yes.
outside
Indoor.
for any of that? Okay.
No, nothing.
So it'll
else.
all be contained within the building?
That is correct.
Okay.
Hello?
Oh, well, is that Mary?
Hi, Mr. Kenley. I did see that it's seasonal. Will it be used, will the space be used off-season for anything?
We have not decided on that yet. Reason being that it depends if we're viable financially because of heating requirements and things of that nature.
Okay, but if you did operate it year round, would it still be operated as an art gallery and studio?
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Perfect. Okay, is the septic large enough to handle extra people?
How many? I'm sorry.
The septic sewage system, I'm kind of downhill from you, so I just want to make sure.
Sure, sure. No, there's one bathroom and it is not a public bathroom.
Well, with students and people there, wouldn't they need to use a bathroom?
Well, they better go before they come. I mean,
Okay. I guess they could knock on my door. And will there be a permit to serve any food or alcohol?
I'm sorry, I didn't catch that.
Will there be a permit applied for, or do you intend to serve any alcohol or food?
Only if we have a reception, which would be hors d'oeuvres or something of that nature.
Okay. I am extremely happy about this project. I just want you to know that.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I
That's
am
all.
too.
Mary, I need your, other than Mary, unless you go only by one name, what's your? full-
No, honey. That's my email. I don't know why that's up there. My name is Merle, M-E-R-L-E.
Oh, Merle across the street.
Yeah, it's me.
Oh, why didn't you say so, Merle, for crying out loud?
I have to tell you, I don't have the video on because I'm a mess today. I'm having a hair day. So, so it's Merle Borenstein. I'm
Got it. As soon as you said Merle, I knew who it was.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Okay, well, thank you. Thank you, Dawn.
You're welcome.
Sorry, I'm laughing. Is there anyone else who has a comment or a question for Mr. Kenley? All right, well, I hear silence. I don't see anything in the chat. If you want to be, if you can unmute yourself, I'll just, going once, going twice. All right, I will make a motion that we suspend the open comment period for SP5, Mr. Kenley.
I'll
Can I
second.
get it? Thank you, Heidi. All right, board. This seems pretty straightforward. Thank you, Mr. Kenley, for the narrative on the right side of our screen. I know John Ingram, our zoning enforcement officer / from the building department, didn't really have any questions or concerns when he presented this to us on October 5th. I don't have any additional questions. I mean, I know this is an adequate facility for handling public visitors, customers, whatever. Anyone else?
Just a comment, it appears that it's reuse of existing space, so I don't think the county is interested in being involved.
Steve, can you just repeat that? You
I'm just
broke
saying
up.
it's reuse of existing space, so the county, I don't think it needs to go to the county.
Thank you, Steve.
I had one other question.
Okay, if you could just state, if you could state your name, please.
This is Paul again.
Paul Friedman, yeah.
And first of all, I being in the arts, whatever the questions I was asking, I'm very in favor of this also. And I would like to know what his time schedule is, assuming that there's no problems with the town.
There's not going to be a problem with the town or anybody else.
No. I didn't mean that. I mean, in terms of, getting anything through paperwork wise, once you've done that, what do you see as your projected date?
We are planning for an April the 15th, the first show.
Okay, that sounds great.
So next spring.
Yeah, let's say pay your taxes and then go see an art show. Good job. Okay. Well, then I'll make a motion, I guess, board.
I have a
why don't we-
question. Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, Ms. Schutzler, go right ahead.
I wasn't, someone had asked a question about septic and bathroom facilities, since it's a public space. Is that is that dealt with? I mean, is one bathroom sufficient? Is there not, I mean, health-wise, does that have
Yeah.
some sort of code? I don't,
You have to keep in mind, in the last business that I know of, it was there was a restaurant.
I don't know. I mean, I just
Yeah,
saw it.
yeah, so this is definitely less impact than a restaurant.
Yeah, the restaurant is a much heavier user of the septic system than this would be, so.
Thank you.
Okay. Well, then with that, I'll make a motion that we close the public hearing for SP5. Mr. Kenley,
I'll second.
thank you, Heidi. So board, based on what we've seen and heard, I certainly didn't hear, I only heard support for this project. As Ed just pointed out and others, that, in terms of the existing infrastructure, whether it be parking lot, utilities, bathroom, I mean, this has been a heavier used site in the past because of other uses, whether it was a restaurant or whatever. So I think this fits nicely into the niche of Tongor store, and we move forward.
Agreed.
Thank you, Tim. Okay, so I have the checklist completed. Does anyone have any, I mean, did we have actually, Janelle, did we actually have a map, a site plan?
I don't think so, right?
It wasn't like.
No, it's a sketch.
Yeah, that's what I mean, a sketch.
Yeah, we have one.
Oh, we do.
Okay. All right, so, I mean, are we good with that in terms of parking spots? I know there's plenty of space, but I don't remember seeing it, so.
My view is it's pre-existing. We know there was sufficient parking there from the standpoint of it being a restaurant deli in the past. So I'm not concerned about that. I think as long as the sketch reasonably accurately portrays the site, then I'm certainly good with that.
The
All right, well,
only
then why don't we-
question I had about it, and I'm sorry, excuse me, Dave, was just about the sign, and only because I should know from driving by it all the time, but I haven't really paid that close attention. Is there a sign there now, or are you installing a sign?
There's a big sign there.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's
Yeah, there's
already
like-
there. All right.
Yeah, there's a pre-existing sign,
It's
and there's
probably
also
huge.
and there's also like a chalkboard on the building itself, if you will, like where you can kind of write the menu or something, but
No,
yeah.
that was taken off.
Oh,
There was
I have
windows.
I have one question real quick. I know in your narrative you mentioned lighting, but if you have your art opening, they're usually at night. I'd just be concerned about lighting, for the actual openings.
There is some existing.
Yeah,
there is-
yeah. No, I mean, I don't see any noted on the map or anything like that.
No, there is existing lighting on the building that's been there for many, many years, and we don't plan on changing anything or adding.
If I recall, that's floodlights that shine out in the front toward the parking area.
Yeah, I was just curious, where they would shine, or, I mean, if you have an art opening at night and the parking lot's black, that'd be a concern.
There is lighting at the entrance, yes.
It's noted in the description here that he provided as well.
oh, there it is.
Yeah, I read that, but it just said, parking lot will be striped and no lot lighting. Only lighting will be security already existing.
Anyone else?
I mean, I don't want to delay anything, but I do agree with Nick that it's, a good point that if you're going to have any kind of event at night, that the parking lot should be safely, at least dimly lit, something that people can find their spaces, especially being on, a reasonably busy road. People can see their way to their cars safely, and cars passing through can see the people walking to them.
I don't know if Muriel will like that too much, though.
mean, they could be downward facing, not too bright. I mean, even if it's just one on the side of the building. I know
Yeah,
you've got
there-
one at the
there is-
entrance.
There is lighting on the side of the building already, yes.
Oh, okay,
The
okay.
front and the side, yes.
Now, I guess, you know,
Lighting, yeah.
Nick and Heidi, to your point, like, Tim, if you go up to where it says like the upper right, 102 foot where it's noted there, like those spots aren't too well lit, but you know, closer to the building they are, right? Because there's lighting around the perimeter of the building. At least in my experience. And then in the sign, if I recall, the sign on 213, the light kind of showers down, so it kind of reflects back to the spots near the building. So it's certainly not Walmart type lighting, which we're grateful for with all the light pollution, but you know. I guess
I'm okay with it. I'm okay with it.
We're
It sounds
not gonna
like it
be,
should be enough, so long as people are safe.
Yeah, I just thought it would be, it should be noted, you know, but. that's fine.
But we can certainly ask them to note the outside lighting on the building.
Yeah, just where the lights are located.
Yeah.
Mr. Kenley, could you do that for us?
what did you say? I'm sorry.
So if you could append this sketch, and certainly doesn't hold up what we're gonna do this evening, but if you could append or amend the sketch to just reflect where the existing lights are.
Sure. What I'm speaking to you from Florida right now. So I'm a little bit out of the picture.
Rubbing it in.
Well, I guess, you know, we could put it as a condition board, right? That, you know, Mr. Kenley's gonna
Yeah.
follow up.
Yeah, he could work that out with the building department.
Because he's not opening until April.
Yeah,
Yeah, by that, yeah, absolutely.
I think we can move forward with a vote on this.
I agree.
All right, so I'll make a motion that we approve Mr. Kenley's application SP 5-21 on the condition that a schematic showing lighting be submitted and reviewed by the building department before final building permit or certificate of occupancy is provided by the building department.
Should we
I'll
go through the
second that.
secret first? Should we go
Okay.
through the secret first?
Oh,
I don't believe he did.
I don't think he submitted a seeker.
Yeah, this is one where we've kind of been a gray area where, I mean, it's existing, so it's not really going to change the landscape,
Yeah.
right?
I mean, it's definitely gonna be a neg deck. There's no doubt about that, so.
Right.
We're not going to be operating in the evening anyway. So I don't know why we're getting all excited about lighting.
Well, it comes down to if you're going to have I think what they were thinking is an evening reception for the opening, perhaps, right?
Yeah, I mean, every art opening I've ever been to has been at night. I mean, so I mean, that was my only point. I know it's gonna be open gallery most of the time, but if you're gonna have
Yeah.
art opening, they usually happen at night. Am I correct?
Not really.
Weekends.
Weekends, as advertised, you know, it'll be a Saturday and Sunday. We're going to be there Wednesday through Sunday, Saturday and Sunday. And weekends are when you're going to get the traffic.
All right.
It'll be in the daytime, not in the evening.
All right. All right. I've just been to, you know, a few art openings and they all been at night, so.
Sure. Yeah.
So I guess Heidi's motion to approve, based on the condition that, I'll say the lighting schematic is added to the site plan, sketch.
Yeah.
And reviewed, approved by the building department. That would be my view. I don't know about certificate of occupancy, building permit, because I think he stated that no changes requiring a building permit were going to be required, and I'm not sure what the building department will or will not do in terms of determining a need for a CO. So I mean, if there's
Yeah,
no
so
building
Steve-
permit, they're probably working off whatever the existing COs were.
Yes, Steve, the note I added, and let me know, Mr. Kennelly will update and submit a sketch with existing external lighting before approval is granted by the Town of Olive Building Department. Is that sufficient? On the resolution?
So it's okay with me.
I just wanted to make sure. Okay. Well, having said that, so we are going to forego a seeker. Is that what I heard?
Yeah, because I don't think he submitted a part one.
All right.
I don't really want that to be our guiding principle. I'd more rather.
Yeah, no.
I don't think it's applicable. I mean, I don't think it's
We asked for 'em on
necessary.
site plans.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't.
Okay. Okay. All right.
That
So
can
then
be
with
waived.
that, who made the motion to move
Heidi.
forward with?
Heidi.
And who seconded?
I'll second the motion.
Thank you, Ed. So then I'll move that the planning board approve the site plan for SP 5-21 Don Kennelly. And then Janelle, would you kindly do a roll call for the vote?
Or Dave Sorbellini,
Yes?
Steve Dibble,
Yes.
Ed Cahill,
Yes.
Heidi Emmerich,
Yes.
Nick Berger,
Yes.
Tim Peck,
Yes.
Paul Wright.
Yes.
Okay. Janelle, I've captured that and I will send the resolution over to you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Mr. Kennelly, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good luck. Enjoy the
Thank the
weather.
board. Yep.
Okay. Steve, do you mind reading this one? It's 21-7, Mr. Karatowski and Ms. Johansson.
Sure. No
I
problem.
will be recusing myself on this matter and leaving now.
Right, so last week, I'll say we briefly discussed the request now application for some lot line revisions. And I think at this point, we're just back to, I'll say, review the application as it currently stands and see if we're prepared to schedule a public hearing for next meeting. So I think Mr. Karatowski was on.
Yes.
Do you have anything you would like to add to that? I will note that a note was added to the map to address the concern of the, I'll say, de facto creation of another lot based on the addition of some property from lot 1 to moving it from lot 1 to lot 2. That's on the other side of High Point Mountain Road, right?
Yep.
So,
Right. So first of all, in September, we provided the lot line revision application. We met with John Ingram. We went through the SEAF. And we've been working with Bernier and Larios to make these revisions. There are 3 lots, and we're basically moving, reducing lot 1 from 19 acres to 15 acres. And in that, moving less than 1 acre to lot 2, which includes that area that you mentioned across the road. So that less than 1 acre goes from lot 1 to lot 2, and lot 2 will now be 5.3 acres. So in a 3-acre zoning, it's not subdividable anyway from the perspective of that particular lot 2. And you can see the 2 areas there. Given the potential location of a house, you can see that it was just a convenience in terms of being able to have nothing across the street from a potential house site. And also because of the lay of the land, that small area that you see that is a little trapezoid there, yes, that was at less than 1 acre. That's actually 0.069 acres, a little tiny bit, but it's right in the view shed from that particular house. So those two parts would be going from lot 1 to lot 2. You have any questions about that? So again, that is 0.952 acres in total, making lot 2 now 5.3 acres. Again, still, in 3 acre zoning. Any questions about that first part?
I have a quick question. Are you intending to grant access to, along that, what everybody calls the right of way, but, access by 28?
I'm sorry.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, but I was, that's a lot 3 item. We can go to lot 3. No, that's fine. So if we can shift over to the other part. So we moved one line. The line used to come from lot 1, used to come along that curved line, which is not physical. It's actually the area that goes from 3 acre to 1 acre. We moved it from coming straight down to going up and going north on that property. So lot 3, we took 3 acres away from lot 1 and moved that to lot 3. And now lot 3 will be a total of 8.9 acres. That land is all owned as part of lot 3. Currently part of lot 1, but it would be part of lot 3. Still owned by Anne Marie and I. And your question was about doing something else with the land?
No, it wasn't that. My question was, are you still intending to have access for lot 1 from 28?
No,
All right.
No. That's a good question. No, there's no, that lot 1 will just be, has a few, 400 feet of road access on Route 20, on High Point Mountain Road. And you can access that lower part as we do with mowers and tractors from High Point Mountain Road.
So lot 3 is the only lot right now then that has access from both sides, from 28A and from High Point, right?
Lot 3 would be the only one, yes.
Right. Yep.
And before it was lot 1, that was the only one that had access. So now it's lot 3.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. And so I'm just, again, went back with your question about the small, being across on both sides of the road.
Right.
And, with the advice of Bruno Hilarios, made that notation on the map, provided that map and that letter, if there's any other questions that you have.
Yep.
And
that's note for those listening in, that's note 6 on the map that addresses the concern about the I'll say potential creation of a substandard lot on the on the left side there, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's 3 acre zoning, so I'm kind of confused as to.
Well, by default, that becomes a lot, whether it's zoned 3 acres or not.
Okay, all right. Well, there's many
but
properties that are on both sides.
The language in the note basically says that lot 2 you would not be able to subdivide that off of lot 2 and make that a separate lot.
Gotcha. Yeah. And again, in 3 acre zoning, I understand that. And again, in this area, this is a lot. It's a road by use, actually. So there is no right of way for the town on this road, and therefore all measurements are from the center line in this particular case.
Mm-hmm. Any other questions from any other board members?
Was the subdivision map filed already, the one we approved?
Yes,
Okay.
it's filed, yes.
Okay, so if there's no dissent, I suggest that we move forward and schedule a public hearing for our next meeting.
Great. And so I'm assuming it's still a Zoom meeting, but I will provide maps for the next meeting to Janelle.
Yeah, I think, I mean,
appropriate.
you're not, you won't have additional updates, I don't think. At
No, but I
least
need
we-
to have a vellum, which I don't have right now.
Oh, well, yeah, it'll be Zoom. So essentially what would happen is, I'll say, assuming your application
Yes, of course.
is approved, the vellum and the maps for signature will have to be brought over to the town offices.
Yeah, I will, you know,
So,
I've made so many copies of maps in the last year, so.
yeah.
Unfortunately, but yeah, we'll have those ready in anticipation of that for the next meeting, but great.
Okay.
So Chet, that would be the vellum plus 3 is what the town needs, and however many more you want for your own use.
Yeah, there was some noise at it's the vellum plus 3 and then,
And however many more you would want for your own use.
thank you.
And Janelle, do you have the envelopes and everything?
Yes, I
Assuming-
do have the envelopes. We're all set on that.
Okay. And the fee is taken care of?
The fee has not been taken care of.
Okay.
I will, so it's,
There are 3 lines
that
that
was,
we've
we have to
moved.
decide the number of lines, the lot line.
It changed. It's no longer number of lines. It's a lot
Yeah,
line
it's just-
adjustment is one fee. Oh, no, I guess that's not till the first of the year. So that must go. Well, I don't know. Is that in effect or not? They
I think that
they
went into
updated
effect
the fee.
in June.
Right, so the fee structure changed, right?
If you let me know,
I'll let you know, Chet.
thank you, Janelle.
So Janelle, in terms of the next agenda, right, so Tuesday, the 7th of December, this would be the public hearing at 7:10 before the regular agenda,
Okay.
please.
Mhm.
Great. And I encourage anybody, if they have any questions, or reach out to me and let me know. Get in touch with it. Thank you.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
Have a good evening.
Let's keep going. 21 sub 8, Nasus Properties LLC, Sean Rivera, 572 Acorn Hill Road. Is there anyone in attendance that can speak to this, Mr. or
Yeah.
Miss Nasus or Sean
Yeah,
Rivera?
I'm here. This is Sean Rivera, representing Nasus Properties LLC.
Somebody is vacuuming or something. All right, well, Mr. Rivera, why don't you give us a brief summary overview, if you would?
Yes, so essentially, we're cutting out 22 acres out of our larger lot. I think it's roughly 135 now. Contiguous piece on Grassy Ridge Road. We are looking to do 2 lots of 11 acres. The buyer has submitted his application to the Board of Health for the septic approval. And that's essentially where we stand. Not sure whether we're going to do, the buyer is willing to accept 1 22-acre parcel or 2 11-acre parcels. As of now, it's been submitted to you guys, as you see, as 2 11-acre parcels.
No, 122.
It's been submitted as 122?
One.
The map I think the map we've seen is what's up on our screen.
Okay, so pardon me. I do see only that one map of 22 acres. So this map, I guess, because it's technically doesn't have the Board of Health approval for the septic tank, would have to be deemed as a non-buildable lot, from what I understand, until they obviously get that approval, which the buyer has submitted the application to the Board of Health for a septic approval.
What is it that's, I'll say, driving the choice between one 22 acre lot or two 11 acre lots? And I ask because, I mean, just looking forward, I don't think we want to approve one and then have to come back the next day and say, oops, that wasn't the right one.
Understood. So from what I understand, the buyer has two sons, and I think he initially was looking for two 11-acre parcels, one for each of the children. But now the fact that this was submitted as one, I have to determine if he's willing to accept it as one lot. So, that has
Has
to
the
be.
Board of Health approval been for the 22 acres or for an 11 acre?
That's a good question. I don't know whether they submitted it for 22 or for 2 by 11. The fact that this map came in 22 to you, Janelle, I'm thinking they went in for just 22 straight up. So, pardon my lack of clarity on that, but I initially sent in a map to you with 2 11s. So that I'll have to get clarity on from the buyer's attorney.
Okay.
Ed,
Just,
you're muted, Ed, if you're trying to say something.
I said, why don't we just table this until we get clarity and know what we're talking about? I mean, it seems like,
yeah.
why waste a lot of time if we review the wrong thing?
Yeah, I was gonna make a similar comment. I think at a high level, right? I mean, I think it's important that, Mr. Rivera, you understand the checklist that we'll be looking through, the lens through in terms of what we're looking to see on the map, regardless if it's 1 or 2 lots.
Yep.
And then, when you have that determination, right, as Ed just said, then we can focus more specifically on questions around, primary, secondary, septic, and neighbors and purpose, things of that ilk.
Yeah, I agree, because I think this map's missing a lot of things that we would need to look at to review this further, like including, I think a property this size should probably show some topo. And if you're going to be, or if the buyer is going to be going for Board of Health approval, the map should reflect where the proposed well, house, and septic and reserve systems are, unless you're definitely going to just have a note that says it's not a building lot. But if they're going for it, I think that this map should be as aligned with that as possible, so that when it's filed, it's, the record is as up to date as possible. Plus, the adjoiners across Grassy Ridge need to be listed.
And a question, I guess, has there been lot line revisions on this lot in the relatively recent past as well?
Yeah, it's been, there was one done maybe, I don't know, 9 months ago. And then before that, it was years back, 7, 8 years back.
Right. So we'll want to understand, or if you could kind of fill us in on what the history has been. And that has to do with, I'll say, there's a look back period for subdivisions, and lot line revisions in some cases apply for as subdivisions. So we want to understand kind of what the history has been there in terms of property being carved off this in the past. So, I think 5 years is the look back period. So it sounds like maybe only one.
Yeah, there's only been
lot
one.
line revision is applicable.
Yep, that's right.
And one
Yeah,
other
and then I
note
would
for
say-
your, sorry, I was just gonna say one other note for your surveyor, since you've got wetlands there. I don't know if at this point we need to have them officially delineated, but if he could show 100-foot setback off of those, that would be very helpful and illustrative to us.
Do we get a big map of this, or is it just a little tiny one?
Little.
All right.
Is the physical version as fuzzy as this, or?
Yeah, I think, well, it's just a scaled down version of the.
Okay.
Yeah, full-size maps next time would be great, please.
Good.
And then Mr. Rivera, I guess, in terms of the broader narrative, right? So, you know, one of the things we're charged with avoiding is segmented planning. So I know you said, you know, the intention here is potentially to provide lots to, you know, children. So, you know, as much as we'd really like to understand what the objective is here, is it just as best as possible, right? In terms of the discovery.
Yeah, I just can give you what I know,
Yep.
so much.
Well, if you could just carry that forward to your clients, right? Because there's certainly a trend in the town of Olive now of taking large swaths of land and potentially developing them as much as possible. And we just want to be fair to the public and certainly look through this and to avoid segmented planning. Is it one lot? Is it two? Is it two to be four to be six?
Yeah, no, I think the only discrepancy is it two by 11 or just 122? And he has no intention, from what I've been told, to do anything other than those either lots or one lot of 22.
Thank you.
And then, so just to carry that on, do you have intent to further subdivide the remaining property or more lot line revisions or what's the intent for the property that will remain, I guess?
It's just a hunting camp for us, and that's what
Okay.
that's what we intend to keep it as. Yeah.
Okay.
Good. Yeah, because again, when we complete the seeker, right, the environmental review, right, we want to do that as genuinely, if you will, or as, you know, understanding the project in its entirety. So, nice beams, by the way.
Yeah.
All right, board, do we have any other questions for Mr. Rivera?
One last note to take back to your surveyor or to the buyers, you know, to Praetorius and Conrad or whoever they're using.
Sure.
On your seeker, you've got total acres to be physically disturbed, 22 acres. I don't think you want that on.
I have an amended one that is been initialed with 0 on that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Janelle was
Well,
helpful
I mean,
for that, so yes.
if there is going to be something built on there and if it's 2 lots,
Yeah.
probably the surveyor is going to need to calculate what the actual area of disturbance will likely be, at least generally, you know, to the closest 1/10 of an acre. But so long as it doesn't say 22.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. If the intent is to build there, it should be something other than 0. But
And I'm having trouble reading it, but Tim, can you show us where the road is? So would both, if we run the scenario of 2 11-acre lots, they both have to have enough road frontage, right?
Right. I think this is Grassy Ridge here. You can't really make out, but it looks like that's Grassy Ridge, right?
That is Grassy Ridge. Yep.
so where's the access to the other lot or lots?
So there's an
Where's that?
Acorn Hill up here.
Off of Acorn Hill. So I guess the comment would be that per Olive zoning, you do need to have 25 feet of road frontage for each lot. So if it's going to be 2 11-acre lots, you need to make sure they each have some road frontage.
Yes, I'm fully aware of that. I think there's 400 feet of road frontage or 500 feet of road frontage
Yep.
there.
Yep. Okay. No problem.
Okay, so my takeaways are, we need a map, the larger map, we need the 100-foot setback from the wetlands. We need to ascertain whether it's 22 or 11 acres, 2 to 11 acres. Anything I missed?
And just, I would say go through Janelle would have, if you don't already have it, a checklist for the map to make sure everything on the checklist is on there.
Gotcha.
I think in this case with this lot, doing a topographic overlay would be very useful, especially so that we can make sure that we can ensure that the parcel can be the larger parcel remaining can be accessed from Acorn Hill, and then just any details about the proposed house, well, and septic on the lots. If that information's already been submitted to the Board of Health, that would be very useful to have it put on the map.
Yeah, from what I understand, they were going to take the property as a not buildable lot, and then they were going to pursue all that on their end. But yeah, I can figure that out.
Okay. Well, and if that's the case, then it just needs a statement definitely stating as much.
Yes, exactly. Yep.
And then the, Heidi, can you remind us, where does the applicant go to get the seeker generated by the, on the cloud?
Yeah, if you, well, it looks like his seeker may have been generated from there, from, well, maybe not.
His surveyor should know. They pushed the subdivision through here before.
Okay.
But if you go to the New York State EAF mapper, EAF mapping tool, it'll just Google EAF mapper. It'll bring it right there. You put in the address, click short form, generates about 50% of it for you, if not more.
Okay. Thank you, Heidi.
Mhm.
All right, so then Janelle, I think this would be after Mr. Kenley on the 7th. So we have a public hearing and then two minor subdivisions. Good with that, Janelle? I'm sorry, you good?
Yes, so you're still with just one public hearing and these are just additional review of the property,
Yeah, and again, only if the applicants are ready, so I'll let them close that loop with you, but I'm just putting placeholders.
Yep.
So just to jump back for a moment, Janelle, I see Mr. Sorbellini was so kind as to send us the revised fee schedule, and it does say the 2022, so it won't be going into effect until January 1st. So I think we're on the old fee schedule until then, and I guess I would propose that this would be 3 lot lines being adjusted. So.
For Mr. Rivera.
No, for
No,
Mr.
Mr.
Karatowski.
Yeah,
Okay, Mr. Karatowski would be 3 lot lines. Okay.
yeah, if others disagree, we should have that discussion, but
That's what I counted too, Steve.
yeah, okay.
3 lot.
Thank you, Steve.
Thank you.
Yeah, sorry for
Steve?
the confusion.
No worries. Steve, I'm gonna yield to you because I gotta tell you, this Sailor Mill folks, I'm tired of them. No, I'm just kidding. But
Yeah.
I know you're closer to the recent happening, so I'll just yield
Well,
to
I
you.
think the first piece, and I can do it or you can do it, we need to text Mr. Bacon and invite him to join.
Oh, I don't have a cell number for him.
Okay, let me see.
Okay.
I think mine's a cell number.
Did he email us? I didn't have a note from him. I apologize.
Yeah, it's been some back and forth here.
I did let Catherine into the meeting. So Catherine, it's good to see you.
Good to see everybody.
I see Mr. Dunn is with us and Mr. Siefer. So good to see you, gentlemen.
Thank you, Dave.
I see there are folks in attendance that I recognize the names. So welcome all of you from the neighboring community.
We have Caleb Carr from Mettenbach and Eggers, and Mike Mariello is on a long-deserved vacation. His wife wouldn't let him join a Zoom call.
Well,
Good for her.
welcome, Mr. Carr.
Thanks.
Dave, does it make the most sense to pull up the amended site plan, you think, discussion?
Yeah, I think so. And I guess Mr. Dunn or Mr. Siefer, are you going to, I guess, give an update? I don't know that, including myself, I don't know that the board is up to speed on what's transpired. I will share with you that this summer, I think at our first in-person session, I shared with the board that discussions were taking place between yourselves and in the called the neighborhood association, if you will. And it looks like productive conversations taking place. I think that's for the most part what the board knows.
Well, we should all have a copy of the settlement agreement to review.
Yeah, I haven't had a chance to go through it in any depth.
George,
great.
do you want to talk to that, or do you want me to talk to that? Is George still on mute?
He disappeared. Here he is. Here, George.
Go
There
ahead,
you go.
Frank, you can speak.
You want me to speak?
No, you could give him a little summary.
So the neighbors had reached out to us a while ago and expressed an interest in buying some of our lots and come to an agreement, and you have the settlement agreement. So we actually gave them 3 different scenarios, and of the previous subdivision map for 13 lots, they chose to buy the 5 wooded lots, which I think was a really smart choice in my opinion, and we thank them for reaching out to us. And so now we have a no build lot number 8, which comprised those previous 5 wooded lots. And then what we also agreed to do was what was previous lots 1 and 2, combine that into that.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Dunn. Could you just repeat? You said combined 1 and 2?
Yes, combine the previous 1 and 2, Dave, into lot 2 now. You'll see, I think, is it Nick that's doing this? If you go to the next page, it might be better actually, or the next.
Yeah, it's Tim, just so you know.
Tim, I'm sorry, right.
Yeah, no worries.
P3 probably shows it best.
Yeah, or even the next one, yeah, that, or the next one, I think. Yeah, that kind of shows the home sites and the driveways. So yeah, we came to an agreement. We have a settlement. Mike told me to blame it on the attorneys because it always seemed to take forever, even though basically what we agreed to was in the beginning. But yeah, I think it's good for everyone. I'm personally happy that there's going to be 28 acres of unbuildable land. That's the caveat to that land, the lot 8 is non-buildable. And
so lot H. So lot H, pardon me, Mr. Dunn. So lot H goes through the road. That's 28 acres. Okay.
Yeah. And it's the same lot lines that you guys looked at before. It's just those 5 woodland lots got combined into 28.5 acre lot.
And Frank, can I ask you one question about I did read through this settlement, pretty far into it. And the one question, actually I had 2, one is for Mr. Bacon, but one is for you. Regarding that lot 7, am I understanding it right that it seems like that's the last house that you're probably going to build? And if any of the other adjoining houses want to buy that lot, then they will not build on it. Am I understanding that right?
That's what was agreed to in the settlement, and that the only buyer that we have out there that we had a contract with when this all started was for what's now lot 6. And they actually want to buy lot 7 as protection and unbuildable. So that's actually, there are only going to be 6 houses ultimately, but since we have a contract for lot 6 with a house, we don't want to alter that contract. We will be selling them lot 7 unbuildable. But as far as you guys are concerned, it's still a 7-lot subdivision. Does that make sense, Heidi?
It does. So my follow-up question is, labeling it unbuildable, is the intention for that to run with the land at that point, or just so long as that owner owns both lots?
It seems from that settlement agreement, and I'm not the attorney, but it went through the neighbor's attorney and Mike, that if any of the other lots buys that lot, it has to be unbuildable.
It's in perpetuity.
Yeah.
For the person who buys who buys the lot and any of their heirs, successors, blah, blah, blah.
If you
so long as they still own both of them though, right? What if
They
they
will-
sell off lot
they-
7?
They would, I don't believe they could do, well, I don't know. I guess you'd have to read the details of that settlement document again. But I got the impression that it was a permanent arrangement, that if lot 7 sells to anyone else who's purchased a property in the development, then lot 7 remains unbuildable forever.
Correct.
But you can build on it if you buy it, Steve.
What's that?
If you buy it, you can build on it.
Yeah, there you
As long
go.
as you don't
There you
own
go.
one of the other lots.
So, Mr. Dunn, I can't get oriented on this map. So where are the 2 houses that you built? What lot number is that?
One where the arrow is and the one next to it, Dave.
Oh, so 6 and 5. Thank you.
Yep, yep. So essentially, there were 2 lots across from that we combined into one 8-acre lot now.
Yeah, that's gonna be beautiful. Yeah.
I think that's great.
And actually, with our buyers of this lot, this is going to be a 10.63 acre lot, essentially.
Lot 6 you're talking about? Yeah, okay, yeah.
Yeah, 6 and 7 combined.
No, and I think, I mean, I don't want to take up everybody's time, but I think the beauty in the neighbors buying the wooded lots, we were never intending to clear cut those, but by the time you cut for a driveway, you cut for a septic, cut for a house, and then Central Hudson, there's no power lines down that section of the road. They stopped at the mobile home. So, and then when Central Hudson starts dotting those, it would have changed the woodland canopy. So I think it's really wonderful that the neighbors have come together and put their resources together and bought this, and they're going to keep that canopy as it always is. It's forever unbuildable. So I think it's a great thing. I guess it's the community working together ultimately.
Do you know, is there some intention to perhaps turn this over to one of the, I'll say, nature or conservancy organizations, or?
It's my understanding that they were researching into it. I think some of the buyers are online if you wanted to ask them, but that's my understanding, that they were looking for someone to take over.
Okay.
Do you
Researching people.
want me to answer that, or should I wait for next month?
No, that's okay. If you want to answer, that's fine.
The intention of the buyers group is to place the 28.35 acres into some kind of conservancy or land trust so that it would be kept forever wild. We're looking right now for any vehicle that we can donate the land to, and we haven't yet secured that, but we're hoping that at the time of closing, they will actually be the ones to either be at the closing or take ownership shortly after.
Is
In other words,
there, have you looked, I guess, is there a potential that they would like, that whoever this might be would want to change the terms of that settlement agreement? Because I mean, I note that there's some very specific items in there in terms of the use of the land. And I'm guessing that most of these organizations have their own sets of terms they would want to use.
That's a good question, Steve. I mean, the people that we've talked to, we've shared this with them, and Forever Wild means for them, it would be held by a not-for-profit, means no development, no commercial use. No one has said that they have any trouble with the terms of the settlement, so let's hope that they don't.
Okay, thank you. And so as part of this, I guess the planning board on behalf of Town of Olive, or in some regard at least, being asked to sign off on this settlement agreement, right? So Jim Bacon has joined us from the standpoint of representing the town. Jim, did you have any comments on this?
Well, only that it's a very unusual situation where a settlement has been reached in this kind of lawsuit. I think, Mike and I both have been practicing about 30 years, and each of us have never, I don't think, seen something like this come about. So, yeah, because the town is named in the lawsuit, I mean, the town planning board, signing the settlement agreement basically settles the lawsuit, and there's no work that I have to do to respond to any of those papers. And we just have to set a public hearing and put it out there and see who opposes it the next time. No, I don't think that's going to happen, but I think it works for the neighbors. It works for Mr. Seafree. So certainly a lot less of an environmental impact. That's for certain. So I think we.
So I'm thinking we'll need to reconvene a public hearing
Yes,
I'm-
because it's a, it's a new subdivision plot. It's reduced impacts from a secret perspective. We went through secret, and this is going to be less, and we should probably redo secret with a short form and say, compare it to the prior project and reference those documents. And that this new subdivision is an outgrowth of that, and a reduction in the number of lots. So yeah, we need a public hearing to comply with the subdivision regs.
Right, and to, I'll say, make some notes regarding the secret, right?
Yeah.
Right, okay. And what about, I guess, well, I don't know, I'm trying to remember exactly where we ended up with the county before, but we think we need to go back to the county.
So, the county for 239M for site plan, for the 239M review? Well, that's a good question. That's a good question. That wouldn't hurt to do that. If we get them the material quickly, we re-refer to them, and they have 30 days to respond. When would be our next public hearing?
Potentially could be December 7th, Tuesday.
Yeah.
Well,
That won't work because the county.
yeah, I didn't talk to Mike about this, but I think, the referral is it's a mandatory requirement that I don't think the parties can agree to bypass that sort of thing. I mean, it's
Right, no, we
a
can't.
requirement.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, Dennis Doyle's last comment was that he would like to see more housing, not less. And
I know.
accessory buildings. And
Well, I mean, in some regard, you did address that with the accessory apartment allowance and some of the documentation, right?
correct.
So,
And if I can just interject, it seemed to me the planning board's one of their big concerns, the Ulster County Planning Board, was the retention ponds. They spent a lot of time on the retention ponds, and we no longer require retention ponds because well, Caleb can speak to that better, but I know we're under a 5-acre disturbance. We're at like 3.5 acre disturbance now.
3.6 as the plans go at the moment.
so it's basically half an acre of disturbance per lot, right?
Yes, but you already have one house that already has, it's already there. So there's no disturbance for lot 6 basically at the moment. It's a little more than a half acre per lot.
Yeah, okay.
We give a pretty wide berth around the houses areas.
Steve,
Yeah.
when would be the public hearing if it got pushed over to January to leave time for the county to respond?
Well, normally it's going to be the first Tuesday, whatever that is.
January 3rd.
Well, I was really hoping that we
I'm
could
sorry, the
have a
4th.
hearing in December.
Well, George, the only thing I'm worried about is giving time for the county to respond. I know that's, again, I didn't speak to Mike about it. I don't know if you spoke to him about that. And it didn't come up today when I spoke to him. I mean, it's conceivable if the only thing I'm worried about, you put it on for December and put out all the notices, and then, the county might respond by the public hearing. I guess we could have the public hearing, and then but we can't make a decision until we hear back from the county. So you could have the public hearing, but
Yeah, we have done that in the past where but I'll say it's in cases where we felt that, I'll say we weren't expecting any significant feedback from the county. They were very clear cut. kinds of
I think
situations.
that's probably the case here. I don't think the county is not going, this is such a small subdivision now.
Jim, do we also need to submit to the health department for a subdivision, for full-on subdivision approval, because you have 5 lots that are under 5 acres?
We have submitted to the health department. They've had very little comment from, at least on our side of things, for approval of septic.
Okay, okay.
I mean, I could give you the most recent correspondence, was very minor.
Yeah, and
Alright.
forgive me if I'm mixing my procedures here, but and I'm thinking, maybe it's state, maybe I'm not wrong about county, or maybe I'm wrong about county, but isn't there a state subdivision law that says the whole subdivision in its entirety has to be reviewed if you've got over more than 5 acres that are under 5, excuse me, more than 5 lots that are under 5 acres?
Yes, that's correct.
Is that been sent to the proper agencies, or we need to do that?
Hey, I think you're referring to this is considered a realty subdivision, which requires the seeker record to be type 1. Jim can clarify, but you've already done a full-blown seeker review of the project, of the larger project. So unless council feels that you should redo seeker, I mean, you've done the environmental review. Now the project is lesser, but you've still done that, lengthy
As I
and
said, I think just to have the public hearing and a short form secret saying that there's been, there's no worse impacts, everything's
Reduced.
been mitigated further, and just cite to the prior secret documents. But I think going ahead with the public hearing in December, I'd be fine with that, and just, we hope it'd be nice to get the county comments. Sometimes they do it quicker than other times. And then, as soon as we get those in, then after that, the board can make a final determination on it.
When Heidi, when's the next county meeting?
It's the day after our meeting.
So
It's gonna be,
maybe not this month because we're a week
Oh.
delayed.
actually, no, it's December 1st.
Yeah, I was just on the website. Yes.
Yeah. It's a Wednesday. And
So
it's actually before us.
they would have time to get the information into them at least.
Yeah.
We'll do that.
So, and then
That
if
would seem to work.
somebody participates in the call, we can at least know whether they've got any significant concerns. But I think what they want input like 10 days ahead, so not an awful lot of time there.
We'll get the paperwork in today.
Awesome.
So I have a question. This public hearing we're talking about is separate from our subdivision public hearing for our town, right? That'll follow. That'll be another one. This is just for the seeker.
No, I think this was for the subdivision.
Yeah, because secret, you're not required to have a public hearing under secret. I think it was in the prior project, Mike Moriello did that out of an abundance of caution.
Oh, okay. So we'll have one public hearing and that'll air everything, all our town stuff.
Yep,
Okay.
that would be the intent, I think. Is everybody on the planning board okay with that? Moving ahead with that for December?
Yes.
I am.
Because that's going to perhaps take up a big chunk of the agenda, right? So,
Yep. So that would be the third item on the agenda, other than the public hearing, Janelle?
That would be the 4th.
Right.
so that
Public
would be-
hearing and then 3 items on the normal agenda.
Well, it would be 2 public hearings and 2 reviews. Because you've already set a public hearing for Karatowski.
Oh, so I
Right.
didn't, yeah, we're gonna go forward with a public hearing. Gotcha. Okay, yeah.
So on this submission to the county, I have to do another whole referral and do it from my end. I'm very confused here again.
Yeah, well, that's what we have to do, and maybe George and his team can help us get, make sure that that's done properly. I think they were good partners the last time around to make sure everything got in a timely manner. So
Yeah,
if it all has to be in 10 days before the first, I think they got.
Heidi, is 10 days the right number? I don't want to, I just pulled that
Get
out of the
my
air.
book. Hold on. I'll get my book.
I think it's like 10 days if it's this and something else if it's that.
Well,
I'm still new to this, so
2 weeks would be the 23rd, so that's still gives enough time.
We have plenty of time. We'll get it in.
Got a couple of weeks before the 23rd,
12
So-
calendar days.
12 calendar days.
12?
Yes,
Okay.
for subdivisions. Yep, 12.
Thank you, Heidi.
So I think that would be by Thanksgiving.
So Janelle, I think it sounds like George and the Sailor Mill team are gonna do whatever they can to get you the documentation, and hopefully all you'd need to do is post it on the site for the county, right?
Yeah, do a referral form and
Yeah.
submit it.
No, can you send us an email, whatever you need us to bring you, and then I'll drop it off at the town hall?
I just need a PDF because I need to do it by PDF county.
Okay.
I don't really need hard copies, I don't think at this point, because you've already submitted them. Nothing is changing, right? So Jim, are you still on?
Yeah,
So would the county need all of this, the legalese, all of the agreements and things like that? Like the,
I don't think they need the settlement agreement. I'll look through it and I'll speak to George and Mike, and we'll between us, we'll all figure out what the county would need. We'll make sure that they get what is required.
all right, and then just send me what it is that I need to submit as a package to the county,
Yeah,
and I'll do up the referral sheet.
yeah. Yeah, I think that would do it.
Jim, can I just ask one burning question on this settlement number 8? It talks about the court granting a 90-day adjournment to allow the town to approve the revised subdivision map and to have a decision approving the revised subdivision filed with the town and county clerk, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Are we on a timeline?
Well, timelines can always be extended. I mean, this settlement has been many months in being prepared. But what was so I guess the short answer is, yeah, the settlement has times that things are expected to happen, and those were put in sort of as the best estimates that the parties were determined. They were just kind of guesstimating what it would take for us to do our job again. And if it took us longer, it takes us longer. So if we, we're not bound necessarily to do anything but follow the law. And we have an applicant that has asked for this to move forward and with much less impacts. And our calendar allows for it to be put on for the December meeting as a public hearing. If we had 10 projects and we couldn't fit it in, then we wouldn't be able to fit it in, but it seems as though we can accommodate the applicant's request. So then that's, we should do that.
Yeah, I would be, I'll say, hopeful that we could kind of meet the dates specified in the document, meaning I think the main cutoff was in May of next year, right? So that triggered some, I'll say, hopefully events that we don't want to get to, right? But
Yeah, I think there's plenty of wiggle room there.
yeah.
But,
So,
you know, it sounds like it's going to work out quick. I mean, like I said, this is a project with much less impacts than the other one. So there's really not, I don't expect people to, I mean, you never know what's going to happen at a public hearing, but we'll see.
so
Okay, great.
Jim, I guess my question is what the right process is from a planning board standpoint in terms of signing off on this agreement. And I'm thinking that just a resolution by the planning board saying that, you know, empowering or saying that one of the board members can sign on behalf of the board is probably appropriate, if assuming we're all in agreement.
Yeah, we need a vote to authorize one of the board members to sign it, and if the vote is affirmative, then sign a few originals so that George can have an original picked up and submitted and filed with the court. And so that, yeah, that would be needed.
So when you say original, I think all we have is, I'll say the electronic copy.
Yep, print out a couple of those and have a couple original signatures on the signature page.
Okay, so I don't want to speak for the board members. I know I read through the agreement in some fair amount of detail. I don't know about the rest of the board, whether are we comfortable taking that action tonight?
I would say we wait till after the public hearing.
That, and Steve, I haven't had a chance to read it in its entirety.
Okay.
And I just want to make sure, so lot 7, I did just review page 2 again. So if an existing owner of lots 1 through 5, or as well as 6, purchases lot 7, they cannot build on it in perpetuity. But if it's a unique owner that doesn't have any ownership to the existing 1 through 6, then they can build on it, correct?
Right.
Okay. Thank you.
So this might be kind of off the wall, but I'm wondering, is this settlement document considered a public document, Jim?
I mean, it is. I mean, anything that's a record of the board is subject to FOIL. So, you know, it's
Right.
From that standpoint, it's a public document. Yeah,
So we should make this available along with everything else to the public for the public hearing for their.
Yeah, part of our record,
On the
and
town website.
I'm sorry, who was that?
It's me, Janelle, and it's already on the town website because I was told by the supervisor that I have to submit everything that's going to be reviewed on a
Right,
meeting.
right. No, that's fine. Yep,
Yeah, open meeting law. Yep.
yep. That's the new rule. So,
good rule.
yeah, I actually wanted to discuss that briefly because it has the potential to, I think, slow down applications in some cases, but we'll come back to that.
So we have a path forward, right? So we're going, so it's calendar days. So the packet for the county has to be created and it's submitted to the county, I think, per my count, that's by Sunday, the 21st of November, if it's calendar days. So I think you've got plenty of time to hit, the December 1st meeting. And then our plan is to have a public hearing on the December 7th meeting. Is that what we decided?
Yep.
Yep.
Okay.
And so,
7:30 or?
yeah, I'm thinking, do we allow an hour for it? I mean, we
have our first public hearing is scheduled at 7:10.
right.
And that's Mr. Kenley, right? That's the flag lot back Acres Way, yeah?
No, the.
No, it's Karatowski.
Karatowski, sorry. Yeah, Karatowski, so. Yeah, probably be done with that one within 20 minutes, so. why
Yeah,
don't
I'm
we just
thinking 7:30.
And
I
then.
mean, I suspect this public hearing is gonna be rather abbreviated. I mean, the parties have come to an amicable agreement. I mean,
Well, that's what I'm hoping, that we could keep it to an hour or less, but we probably still need to set some ground rules.
I don't think we're gonna need boxing gloves for this one.
I hope not. I hope not. Do you feel otherwise, Dave, or, I mean, in terms of the time?
No, I don't. It's not that I feel otherwise. I guess I'm just an optimist, right? So I would anticipate, probably a rather light stream of inquiry. I think this is a really great outcome. It's a good balance between the two arguments. And, I mean, what can really people at this stage inquire about? I think we've been through every variable you could discuss around this, right? Traffic, pedestrians, environmental impacts, endangered species, pumping, water rates from the ground. I mean, archaeological. I mean, we'll just,
Yeah,
honestly, Steve, I'm actually thinking, pardon me, Steve, I'm just thinking if someone asks a question of any type of depth that revisits a historical, we just point them to the record, right? Just go to
Yeah.
the record. Next.
No, I agree. I'd be more interested, well, not more interested, but I don't know if there are people who are not part of the parties involved in the settlement who may have concerns or still want to speak. So,
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
yeah.
Is that meeting going to be by Zoom or hybrid or?
Zoom.
Zoom.
All right.
Zoom.
What is the current thing? It's Zoom until at least the first of the year, I think.
Yeah, 15th of January.
Okay.
So Steve, to your point, we'll limit, comments verbal, not chat. We could limit them to, I'm just picking a number out of the air, right? 3 minutes. And again, I just think we have to have the courage and conviction to just be polite, but candid that, please reference, if we start hearing Groundhog's Day, just go back to the historical record. I mean, I honestly don't know of any question that hasn't been asked.
Yep. And do we want to allow some time up front, I guess, for the parties involved to explain the current situation, or do you think that people are well enough aware?
Well, George might with Mike, or they may want to do a synopsis and bring it, for the people who are not involved with all of the negotiations, bring them up to date. So I think that's a good idea.
Yeah, and I don't think it needs to be much. I mean, I'm just trying to move this along, but I think in terms of what Mr. Dunn did this evening, right, it's kind of précis, right, to the point. Again, all these documents, and maybe we just, we front load this, Janelle, with underscore the communication that the Town of Howell website has all this information, right?
Yeah.
And then we just have the fortitude as people start asking questions, we just point them back to the document.
Yep. Okay. And do we want somebody else to facilitate this, or? I think Catherine helped facilitate it in the past. That's why.
Yeah, I think that's great because it's actually my wife's birthday and it's also Pearl Harbor Day, if you didn't know that. So there's
Yes.
a chance I may not be here. So, Catherine,
Right.
is it possible you could provide that support for us?
If the board would like me to, yes.
Giddy up. Is the board okay with that? Do we want to vote on that?
Yep.
Or are we okay?
I'm okay.
I'll
I
second
think it's
that.
helpful.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any dissents? Janelle, if you could capture that in the record, please.
Okay.
Okay, so Catherine,
And,
thank you.
I think, yep, thank you, Catherine. I agree.
Welcome.
As in the past, if anybody wants to submit written comments, more than happy to read them. Become part of the record.
One last thing, in terms of the public hearing on December 9th, I think that it would be really helpful with a representative of the buyers group, just like 30 seconds or a minute, because I think it would help whoever the public will be on that for that meeting, for them to understand, what the situation is, and that there is a buyers group from the community that is mitigating the impact from this development, and it might set the tone so that we're not kind of on the defensive if questions are raised. It's up to you if you want to do that, but I'm requesting some opportunity to
No, Ms.
follow.
Gold. No, I think that's a brilliant suggestion, Ms.
Yeah.
Goldman. So thank you for that. So I think kind of the run of show will be one of the board members will open the session. We'll introduce Catherine as, if you will, facilitating the public hearing as she did previously. And then I think I heard Mr. Seifer or Mr. Dunn, you'll speak, or Mike will speak. And then Ms. Goldman, who would speak on behalf of the community?
I can
Neighbors?
do it.
Okay.
I can do it.
Thank you.
And would the board, obviously at the last public hearings, there were lots of folks who wanted to speak. So though I believe that those who had emailed the town were kind of put in order. If those recall, that was kind of the initial public hearing, was that, whoever said, I would like to speak, in the order that it was received in emails prior to was the order of the public hearing, which I think some people didn't realize. And so we'd at least set the order we discussed so that, that just doesn't come up into question again. And kind of read the room and see if there's, 10 people who want to raise their hands, and 10 people as they appear on the screen, right? We're not going to have the whole thing. You have to email Janelle to get your name on the list, right?
Well, I think, in the past, we had email to get your name on the list, but then as part of the meeting, we also allowed people to sign up via the chat, right? So,
Yes. Yeah.
but
Do we want to just indicate,
Why don't we
at
just go
least
with the chat?
initially, just in this, I just go for the chat at the meeting? Yeah, great. I
yeah,
think that makes sense.
Dave,
I can assist with
Mr.
that part of things.
I was just going to ask Mr. Edinger, so you can help. Thank you.
As long as you don't do it on a town board meeting night.
yeah,
It shouldn't be.
yeah, it shouldn't overlap next month.
Yeah, we'll be good.
No,
Just-
no election.
Just getting my
on the
dig
first-
in, that's all.
Yeah.
And Catherine, from an engineering standpoint, I obviously I read your letter and your comments regarding septic and drainage and so forth. You're in obviously communication with Caleb to address some of those last minute, build ready.
Sure, yeah, I mean, there's plenty of time for the engineer to address our comments prior to the meeting in December. I do think there's one kind of comment that was more a discussion starter, and I didn't know if that's something the board wanted to see. It's just regarding the amount of disturbance on the project. If the board so chooses to discuss, that's fine. If not, wait till December, that's fine as well.
Can you elaborate?
Sure. Yep, on our
read
comment
through,
letter, it's comment number 10. Just so the board's aware and the public's aware. In New York State, the need for a full stormwater management plan is in this case for the town of Olive decided by following New York State DEC regulations. So for single family residential subdivisions disturbing more than 1 acre but less than 5, it does not require that a full-blown stormwater pollution prevention plan, i.e. All of the stormwater basins, infiltration basins are required. The only thing that the applicant has to do is an erosion and sediment control plan because they're disturbing less than 5 acres. If the board so chooses to look at whether or not you hold the future buyers and developers of these lots to the limit of disturbance that's on the engineering plans. That's your prerogative. Other municipalities have done it. Really what they've done is they've said, all right, you want to build a subdivision that you're being disturbed less than 5 acres. Therefore, you don't have to go through the process of constructing stormwater management practices. And right now the applicant is showing a limit of disturbance on the plan. I don't disagree with the limit of disturbance. I think it's reasonable. But if, say, I were to purchase the lot, what is preventing me from going in and disturbing, 2.5 acres on one lot, thus resulting in the potential in the future for possibly the 5 acres to be exceeded? So it's really just a discussion about.
That would be a violation of the filed map. So the building code enforcer could come out and say you're in violation of the filed map.
Correct, but do you deem a limit of disturbance, which is more of an engineering line on a map, an actual defensible limit? It's not a deed restricted area. It's not a conservation area. It's
whatever the notes on the filed map say are enforceable.
Okay. So to make it clear, because it is tough when you have single family subdivisions when in most cases the developer sells the lots off and then each individual property owner now is held to something that they may not fully understand.
Well, I guess the only, what I would see potentially that could play into that would be the accessory apartment and garage, both of which I think were stated as 800 square feet maximum. And for a garage, obviously, whatever disturbance for the driveway, the extension to the garage and all that. I don't know that that's going to put them over 5 acres. But.
Well, I mean, we could have the applicant address that at the next meeting as well. I mean, I think there's a lot of information in the deed and the settlement, all of those things. I don't know what a title company is going to find out, but, title companies should look at filed maps and see what the notes are on those maps. And when they don't, that does run into a lot of trouble.
Sure. Yeah. So essentially for right now, they're proposing 7 lots that are developable. That would result in each lot. The average on each lot needs to be about 0.7 years of disturbance for the subdivision as a whole to be under 5 acres, that's not an unreasonable amount. My concern again is the idea that in the future there could be a purchaser that, decides that they want to have a large pool, that garage, or just simply grade out a side or front yard, for their use, that the project is now exceeding that 5 acre threshold, which it does happen.
I guess this is a little confusing to me because it seems like in many of these cases, is there not some time frame that we're talking about? I mean, 50 years from now, who knows what's going to?
No, it's not 50 years. It's really, there's definitions for land disturbance in state stormwater.
Right. So
really the intent is first development of the lot. So let's assume that
right.
It can be built out in a decade. It's not like if I buy the property, develop it, and then 30 years later I want to rebuild it. No, this is that initial construction period. I'm more concerned about as the lots are sold and as someone decides to put a home or a driveway in a different location that results in more area of disturbance, or they simply just install a lot of amenities in their property. Really the limit of disturbance is reasonable for a first build, but if someone wants to install a pool or a shed or a garage or wants an extensive side yard and is disturbing that soil, these limits of disturbance that are on the plan kind of would be rendered not valid. And I just don't know how enforceable or how much the ability the town has to enforce these. You're not a
site plan is enforceable. Catherine, a site plan is enforceable. A building, whether or not a town does it or not, that's up an enforcement issue, but they're absolutely enforceable. Every note on those maps carry the weight of law.
What if it's the case though that the driveway, the final home location, these aren't intended to be gospel, correct, Caleb? These are just a reasonable approximation by an engineer.
Can I interject for a second? I'm the architect, Catherine, and I sat down with Caleb. These are where the driveways are going. These are the actual sizes of the houses. And George and I are building now 6 houses total. So this is exactly where they're going, and we're building them. These lots are not being sold to other people. to develop.
So this limit of disturbance that can be enforced, you're comfortable with that?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, this isn't just, and I no disrespect to Mettenbach and Eggers just plopping a house on a site like that they can do for people developing land. I'm an architect deciding exactly with the contours where these houses go, where the driveways go. So, yeah.
So yeah, I mean, you understand my point of that sometimes there's just an approximate location.
Yeah, no, absolutely they are.
And I can understand your point. You know, as if again, what Mr. Bacon is saying is valid. We don't want to have the case of we go through a process and all of a sudden what is shown on an approved plan doesn't work for what is actually being built. That just creates a lot of extra work for everyone involved.
No, this is what's being built. I've walked those lots and those contours many times over the last year and a half.
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay. That's all the questions I had.
So if everybody could read the settlement agreement and, you know, if you have any questions about it, please email me and it's good. It's on the website and the public can at their leisure look it over. I'm sure somebody will come to the public meeting and express surprise that they've never heard of this before. But
and that's something that when the planning board signs, we need to get to Judge Kilpatrick for this whole pending thing, right? Because he's given us, again, I'm not the attorney, but I think he's given us, you know, we've stalled the proceeding, but if we come to this agreement, he needs to know that.
right, it's held in abeyance pending the signing of the settlement.
Right.
So a different topic, I guess. I had a couple questions on the declarations of covenants, easements, and restrictions. And it's maybe more education for me, but I see restrictions on things like antennas and satellite dishes, and I thought there was some essentially overriding state federal laws that said you couldn't restrict people from putting an antenna on their house. Am I mistaken, or I don't know?
Not sure about that.
Well, I
don't
know
know.
certainly that preemption exists with the cell towers. In terms of private homes, I don't know, Steve. That's a good question. I'll have to find out the answer to that.
I know those, and Steve, those initial covenants came from Mike Moriello, so.
Yeah, I mean,
okay.
I'm guessing he probably knows more about it than I do, but the other one I thought was interesting was a prohibition against any storage of any flammable materials on the property. And I'm like, who doesn't have a can of gasoline for their lawnmower? It just seems kind of overreaching, but it's not, you know, it's between you and your buyers, but.
Yeah, that's kind of Mike Moriello's, you know, basic covenants that he started with, and we just adhered to them.
Yeah.
And that's in the conservation area though, right? That's not across the whole lot, that particular.
Oh, I thought that was,
But I could be misreading it.
I thought that was in the dwellings.
No propane stoves.
Yeah, what about your storage propane tank?
No flammable substances or articles deemed hazardous to life, limb, or property shall be stored, permitted to be stored anywhere on the property, in any home, garage, or on any lot. I think that's it.
It's all subject to the rule of reason.
An electric tractor.
Yeah, everybody's gonna have to buy electric mowers and
No barbecuing.
Electric weed whacker.
yeah, no, you can't buy lighter fluid for your charcoal.
Electric chainsaw.
Yep. So anyway, yep.
Maybe he was thinking more Unabomber materials.
Well, I'm sure that's, the intent is that you don't have 500 gallons of, explosive fertilizer in your garage, but anyway, I just thoughts, and I was just curious what the thinking was, so it's like say that's between you and Mike and the purchasers, not our purview, but. I think that's all I had. Anybody else have any comments?
Yeah, I had a quick question. On sheet 3, you guys have proposed drainage easements, I believe. I'm just curious, what is the drainage easement? Is that going to the town or?
Caleb?
The drainage easement?
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't really do the drainage easements themselves. I mean, that'd be from between some towns have a form that get filled out, but.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's just a proposed drainage easement, and it just shows it on the actual, page sheet 3 of the drawings. It's not even delineated on anything, it just says proposed.
Yeah, there's two drainage easement areas for the culvert pipes that we've been asked to put underneath the road. That's what you're speaking of?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that would be kind of for the town to come in and repair the culvert, pretty much.
Yeah, we've been asked by the highway superintendent to put those culverts in.
All right. I'm just curious, who's the easement to? Like,
But I know they've talked, Mike Moriello would be more the one to talk directly about that. But he's mentioned in the past that those drainage easements, with the ponds, at least they were saying that the community had, the owners would actually have to upkeep those drainage swales. That's what he was saying with the ponds. But again, I'm not the lawyer. I can't speak.
Yeah. I think that's in this declaration of covenants, easements, and restrictions is basically what it says is that the owners are responsible, but if they are not maintaining them properly, then the town A has the right to inspect it every so often and to come on the property to inspect it, and the town also has the right to address issues if they're not being properly maintained by the property owners, and then recoup the cost for that back through a lien on the property.
I mean, everything's been completely reduced. I mean, these culverts don't take large amounts of water. I mean, most of the year they're going to be dry culverts.
Yeah, it's just,
so.
I think it was what, 112-inch and 124-inch culvert, right?
We show them both as 24 currently.
Oh, they're both 24. That's right.
Underneath Lower Salem Mill. I mean,
Yep.
the lots 1, 2, and 3 will all have driveway culverts. And I believe they're 15-inch culverts.
Yeah. Okay. But the ones under Sailor Mill are 24.
Yes, that's what we were asked by the town.
Yeah.
And the covenants also talk that these homeowners, it's really only lot 4 and 7 that have these drainage swales on them that an owner can obstruct them. But
right.
Caleb's located them at the perimeter against the stone walls, so they're at the perimeter of the site. These people aren't going to disrupt them. So,
is the intent for these to be actual easements that show up on a filed subdivision map? Because the map that's on the screen doesn't show. It's listed as a proposed easement on the engineering plan, but the subdivision map is not showing that.
Thanks, Catherine. That's what I was trying to get at.
I guess, like Caleb said, that
we would have to ask the surveyor, Don Brewer, to put them on the map. That's what.
Yeah, I would say is just make that, please add that, as a revision. I think Nick and I both picked up on it and had the same hearing plan, but it's not on the actual subdivision plan.
I think the one thing I think is great with the smaller development is the retention ponds have gone away. I think we really like that. And I think the neighbors really like the fact that you don't have to go into the woods and cut trees down and create.
That
Really?
certainly simplifies things.
Yeah.
So,
I think it's a lot nicer.
yeah.
Speaking of that,
Okay.
I wondered if number 11, which says stormwater management basins, if that needed to be stricken from the
Heidi,
restrictions.
Mike was leaving it in until we had a definite agreement and you guys signed off and everything. So, but it, it's really irrelevant at this point, but he didn't want to take it out ahead of time.
Okay.
I just have one more comment. I think sheet 2 might need to be cleaned up a little bit. Just general text and stuff. Some text cut off, and just before you go to the county and file, might as well get rid of it right now. I just saw a couple errors around it.
There's specific text you're thinking about, or just
Well, on sheet 2 on lot 4 on the very top, there's some really small text I can't read. I think it's maybe it's lot 4 and lot 5.
Nick, am I on the right map that you're referring to?
This sheet 2.
Flagged wetlands, is that what it says up there?
Scroll up the map a little bit.
no, there's some lengths. I see what he's talking about. There's some
Yep.
lengths and bounds. You can't.
And then all the way to the left of the map, you have Rod and it's cut off. Rod. And also these conservation easements, you're gonna have a specific description for them, like base and bounds. That the actual distances should be shown on the map, I believe, if they're gonna be delineated like that.
Yeah, we basically, this map was revised to show the new lot layout. It's not a
All right.
final map by any means.
All right. No, if it's going to public hearing, next one, next meeting. So.
Okay. Anybody else? I did think of one other question, and it's to Jim, but maybe to be handled offline. I don't know. Jim, in the settlement agreement, it says simultaneously with closing of the title, the petitioner shall promptly discontinue the Article 78 proceeding with prejudice and without cost to any party of this agreement. I am curious what with prejudice means in that setting.
That means they would never be able to refile it.
Okay.
It means it's dead, not coming back
Okay.
to life.
Fair enough. Thank you.
So I guess we need a
Horse
motion,
isn't dead
right,
yet,
for
somebody else.
What's that?
I said the horse
Jim?
isn't dead yet. I hope somebody else has something.
Yeah, I think so. I think
very
we're
funny.
about concluded.
So we need a motion, right, to schedule the public hearing?
No,
No?
it's on the agenda.
It's scheduled.
Good.
Okay, I think we can close this out. Did we have anything else on the agenda to cover? Thank you to all who were on the call for Sailor Mill. I appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Steve. Thanks, guys.
Yeah,
Thank
have a
you.
good night.
Good night.
Thanks.
Thank you.
I guess we have correspondence, Brett alone.
Well, I just to touch base, with regard to these, final actions and responses, so we have not yet received the second Bread Alone response.
Right.
However, we have received the response with regard to Bill McGloin's Spectre Corps submission. So, of course, there's a final action report form here that needs to be completed and signed and returned to them. So I don't know how we want this handled. Do you want me to scan and send them to the members so you guys can all see it and determine who's going to sign off on it, or?
Well, I guess I'm going to propose that our alternate rep to the county planning board take the lead in telling us what she feels the process should be.
You can go ahead and send it to me. I'm happy to complete it. I did talk to Drew about it. I mean, it's pretty straightforward. We're just filling them in on our decision. My only feeling about it is that I think anything that's signed from the planning board should be signed by a chair, but I'm happy to do it if that makes everybody's life easier. It doesn't matter to me.
So I'm going to propose that Heidi, you would go ahead and fill it out, and then it can come back to the next meeting and we'll briefly review it, and one of the chairs can sign off as appropriate, right? Assuming the board agrees it's what we want.
Yeah, that makes sense.
All right, I'll reach out to Mary Ann, who's the Ulster County Planning Board Secretary again. I did ask her to make sure she forwarded everything to you, Janelle, but I'll ask her to CC me on that because she sent me the first side of that form, with the recommendation, but she did not send me the final sheet, the final decision. And same with Brett Alone. I mean, I know that they had no comments, but they didn't send a form. So I can reach out to her again on that because I did ask her to send that to you. And if she hasn't, then I'll reach out and make myself a note right now.
Do we feel we need to, or does the county expect a response on, I'll say, their advisory comments? Like the sidewalks for Spectre Corg?
I believe they want a response on anything they send us, whether we go with it or don't. I think they want
Okay.
a summation of what we've decided.
Okay, fair enough. So we may need to have some discussion on some of that as we go.
Yeah, I'll prepare a proposed statement and then we can take a look at it at the next meeting and amend it or, send it off.
So with regard to what I've received, I should send it to every member of the board as a PDF. Am I correct?
To be honest, unless there's some action required, at least for me, I get enough stuff.
Okay.
And, let Heidi look at it. Others may disagree again, but let Heidi look at it and make a determination on that.
That's fine.
Anybody else have thoughts, comments?
I'm aligned to that.
Okay.
So
Okay,
now-
anything? Go ahead.
I'm assuming at this point your December agenda is full. So we have some things that have come, to us now. And they were waiting to hear back on what agenda they would be added. So
January.
Yeah.
we have.
Talking about Maher and
Not even
Trojan.
worth discussing. I mean, the next agenda's packed, right? Tuesday, the 7th.
Yep.
And then Tuesday, the 4th of January. Plus, we have a lot of work to do typically at the beginning of the year, right? Re-electing officers and all that good stuff, so.
Which project specifically, Janelle, are you talking about?
Well, right now, I've given you, you guys have already had in hand, the site plan stuff for Tim Trojan, who wants to go into, Just Allen. And it's more lot line adjustments from Cecil Hooker, doing that for Judy Mahar. And I know that there is another site plan application sitting for John to review tomorrow from Karen Renucci with regard to the Crumville Church.
Mm-hmm.
And then there is another subdivision that's just been submitted and going to John for, to look at.
Well, if they get completed applications in, it sounds like January. What happened to the donut shop?
We haven't heard anything more from them yet. They haven't submitted any final paperwork. But
Okay.
they, Just Allen, Mr. Trojan has submitted his stuff and Mr. Hooker. So theirs is like sitting, been sitting.
They've been sitting there since August, haven't they? They submitted in August. That's what they're dated.
Well, Cecil's didn't get to us then. He started it a while ago, back and forth, but
Okay.
it's not, yeah. And they had presented it in time. I think I gave you guys the paperwork in time for the meeting last month, just to have kind of in hand for thinking about when to put it on an agenda. So that's where it's at.
The only one that I looked at a little bit was the Ranucci one. And I wasn't able to see in our district uses how we would fit that into a residential area for what she wants to do, even though I agree she's doing something that's very worthwhile. So I don't know if by the time it comes to us, we'll have to refer that to the ZBA. Maybe we could just refer to it now just to make sure that it's acceptable to put that type of an establishment in the RE1 area.
What was it, Ed? I didn't read through it.
It's the old schoolhouse, which was a church right down there in Crumville in the corner of 2A and 2.
Right.
Right next to Roger Davis's construction yard.
Right. Well, what's she proposing?
Well, she's proposing to do something kind of like what Don Kenley's talking about, some yoga, some art, some, and when I look at the residential uses, I don't see something that addresses that specifically. You can have a museum, you can have a school, you can have different things, but if it's going to get to where we need to have a determination from the ZBA, maybe we'll just refer it to them now. And just so, rather than wait for a January agenda, and then before you know it, we're in April, so that's the only thing that I took a few minutes to read through, and I just couldn't fit it into a slot.
Well, I think John's going to be reviewing that tomorrow, so maybe I can tonight drop his office a quick little email stating that your concern.
And then maybe he'll just refer it to the ZBA and before it even comes to us. That'd be good.
Okay.
Unless he can find where it fits, so they don't have to go. But like I say, I couldn't find where I could plug it in,
Yeah, this looks like education and artist showcase and
Yep.
yeah, artist residency. Wow. Yep.
Do we have hard copies of that application or only emailed at this point?
Only the email because John
Right.
physically looked at it.
Right.
You've got the hard stuff for Trojan and Hooker.
Yep. Yes. Yep. Okay. I just want to make sure I wasn't missing anything
No.
here, but I'm sure I've downloaded these, but I haven't looked at them closely yet. Okay.
This does kind of sound similar to our recent situation with the proposed museum in a residential area.
Right.
Is she proposing a house too on site or just this?
Just this.
Just the building.
Be the primary
Yeah.
use?
So there's some difference in that it's
And
not.
quite honestly, I think she's already been doing stuff there and that's been the issue. And John
Yep.
has kind of stopped her doing it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll see what John says. Okay, anything else?
So because I know these other two people are kind of like waiting to hear from me. Do I just tell them that they could be in January or is that still up in the air?
No, put them on January.
I think put them on the agenda and
Okay.
What do we have? 4 things next meeting? We have,
two public hearings.
and then Senecal and Sailor Mill. No, Nasus. Sailor Mill is the public hearing. So
Sailor
NAS is,
Mill, yeah, Sailor Mill's a public hearing, Anne Marie and Chet, are public hearing.
yep.
And then you're gonna have Senecal come back, for final, and Nasus, hopefully he'll have some stuff together.
I'm just wondering, we had 5 things tonight. Since we're only going once a month, can we put one of those people who got their stuff in early on for at least an initial review with them? Or is that
Well,
too bad?
I would expect the Sailor Mill hearing to go on for a while.
Yeah, that's a concern. I mean,
Yeah,
I
would
don't know.
Just
Go
put new
ahead,
business on January, right? And anything from, if anything rolls from December, they'll have to be either February or if we decide to have a second meeting in January. Right, isn't that the cadence that we had previously, right? With Sailor Mill or whatever, big projects have one meeting and then we have to reserve the
Yeah.
next meeting. Yeah.
Well, but we were doing 2 meetings a month because, right, to do that, so.
Yeah, well, it's almost 10 o'clock, so. I think
Yeah,
we're meeting
well,
longer than- we're meeting longer than the town board, so I don't feel guilty. I'm good.
yeah, yeah. Did you want to make your sales pitch though before we break?
What sales pitch is that?
I see a vehicle for sale up on.
What vehicle is that? My Hummer?
Yeah.
No way. That's my wife.
Oh, yeah, okay.
No way. That thing is here to stay. That's not going anywhere.
Oh, no, I thought, didn't I see it? Posted?
It's here, yeah. It's at Camp David. It's here.
No, I said, I thought I saw it posted for sale.
Yeah, not by the owner.
Oh, okay. Okay. Fair enough.
All right, I guess I'll make a motion that we adjourn tonight's meeting.
Janelle, are we done?
Guess pretty much we're done then.
I'll second.
Aye. Goodbye. Good night.
Aye and
Good
goodbye. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Night.
Bye.